And, Robert Gates and Admiral Mullen have been talking about the 16-month timeline for withdrawal from Iraq as being just one of the options. A slight difference there from what Obama was saying in the campaign. And again, I mentioned Iran. Hillary Clinton, of course, famously said she was prepared to obliterate the whole of Iran and kill 70 million people. On Iraq and Iran, what do you see as the big changes?
What happened in Iraq is extremely interesting and important. The few correspondents with real experience and who know something have understood it. Patrick Coburn, Jonathan Steele, one or two others. What has happened is that there was a remarkable campaign of nonviolent resistance in Iraq, which compelled the United States, step by step, to back away from its programs and its goals. They compelled the U.S. occupying forces to allow an election, which the U.S. didn't want, and tried to evade in all sorts of ways. Then, without going through the details, they went on from there to force the United States to accept, at least formally, a status of forces agreement, which, if the Obama administration lives up to it, will abandon most of the U.S. war aims. It will eliminate the permanent huge military bases that the U.S. has built in Iraq. It will mean that the U.S. will not control decisions over how the oil resources will be accessed and used, and in fact, just about every war aim is gone. Of course, there's the question whether the U.S. will live up to it, and what you're reporting is among the various indications that they'll try to evade living up to it. But what happened there is really significant, and a real credit to the people of Iraq who have been able to, they've suffered miserably, the country's been destroyed, but they did manage finally to get the U.S. to back away formally from its major war aims. In the case of Iran, Obama's statements have not been as inflammatory as Clinton's, but they amount to pretty much the same thing. He said all options are open. Well, what does all options mean? Presumably that includes nuclear war. That's an option. There's no indication that he's willing to take, say, the steps that the American population wants. A large, overwhelming majority of the American population for years has been in favor of, has agreed with the non-aligned movement that Iran should have the rights granted to signers of the Non-Proliferation Treaty, including the right to develop nuclear energy, should not have the right to develop nuclear weapons. And more interestingly, about the same percentage, I think it's maybe 75 or 80%, call for establishing a nuclear weapons-free zone in the region, which would include Iran, Israel, and any U.S. forces deployed there. And that would, and all kinds of verification and so on, that could mitigate, probably maybe eliminate one of the major sources of conflict. But there's no indication that the Obama administration has any thought of doing anything about this.
Just finally, Professor Chomsky, the U.S. economy, of course, where you are, that's dominating the news there and the lives of all Americans and arguably people around the world. This $825 billion package, do you think in the end it'll be the economy that does for Barack Obama? How do you think he and his people are going to handle it?
Nobody really knows. What's happening with the economy is not well understood. It's based on extremely opaque financial manipulations, which are quite hard to decode. The general process is understood, but whether the 800 billion, or probably will end up larger, government stimulus will overcome this crisis is not known. The first 350 billion have already been spent. That's the so-called TARP bailout. But that just went into the pockets of banks. They were supposed to start lending freely, but they just decided not to do it. They'd rather enrich themselves, restore their own capital, take over other banks, mergers and acquisitions, and so on. Whether the next stimulation will have an effect depends very much on how it's handled, whether it's monitored so that it's used for constructive purposes, and also on factors that are just not known, like how deep this crisis is going to be. It's a worldwide crisis, and it's very serious. It's incidentally striking that the ways that the Western countries are approaching the crisis is exactly the opposite of the way of the modalities that they enforce on the third world when there's a crisis. So if Indonesia has a crisis, Argentina, anyone else, they're supposed to raise interest rates very high, privatize the economy, cut down public spending, measures like that. It's standard structural adjustment measures. In the West, it's the exact opposite. Lower interest rates to zero, move towards nationalization if necessary, pour money into the economy, have huge debt, exactly the opposite of third world supposed to pay off its debt. This seems to pass without comment, which is quite remarkable.
Professor Noam Chomsky.
These policies for the West are the ones that might get the economy moving again. It's been a disaster.